Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast, where we discuss all sorts of things Germanic heathenry related. My name is Jesse. I am your host. Let's get into it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, dogs, gerbils, familiars, everything of all types. Hail and welcome and hello to the season 5 finale of the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. Hello, Skull That Works. Hello, Joshua Bright Spirit. Hello, Voodoo Viking. And hello to Cowboy on YouTube with a Hail the Gods. And Voodoo Viking, hello, everyone. And we've also got the Wild Heathen Wolf Pack checking in over here on YouTube. Says, good evening from Alaska. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some pretty cool stuff to talk about in terms of Alaska coming up here. So thank you to the Heathen Wolf Pack for tuning in and checking in with all of us here for the season 5 finale. So I've got a guest that's kind of just sitting here chilling. Let me get through some comments and acknowledge everybody here. Blessed Yule to you, David. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody who is tuning in and watching on tonight's live stream. We're broadcasting live for the last sailing of the ship. The season 5 ship is sailing for the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast, which means that we are now out of harbor and full steam ahead. You know, we're rocking on and just going full steam ahead into preparations of season 6. But of course, not without first recapping a bit on season 5. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome in my guest and longtime friend and brother who's going to be joining me for a little bit. I'm not sure how long, but he's going to be joining me for our season 5 finale. It's a bit of a tradition. And here we go. It's Patrick Walsh. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hail, welcome, Jesse. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm always happy to be part of your live streams and a participant of Nick Art Musings.
Yeah, man. And thank you for being here. Looking good, looking frosty, as you say.
Well, I think it kind of just trying to figure out the camera angle here. It's a little wonky at the moment.
Yeah. No, you're looking good, man. How you been? How you holding up?
That's a really great question. Thank you for asking. It's been a rough time. Very rough time indeed. But with that said, I'm very happy to have the support from you, my tribe, my friends, my family. And that, in a way, those dark times really make those special people, special memories, that much more beautiful. So I'm doing pretty good this evening. Thank you again for asking.
Yeah.
How are you
Awesome.
doing, Jesse?
Man, I'm holding on, man. I'm holding on by the skin of my teeth sometimes, but I'm holding on. We got Matthew Sarah who says Patty Dubs. Yeah, Matthew Sarah giving us the what's up. A lot of good people out here in the comments checking in and saying hi and hello. So I definitely appreciate all of that love. Patrick, man, you know you've been watching this stuff that I do since before the podcast really was even a podcast. You know, I was doing videos on YouTube and you know, sharing stuff on that platform, and now here you are. Yeah, 6 years, man. It's been 6 years.
It's crazy.
Going on 6 seasons. And you've been joining me on several episodes. A lot of season finales. You were definitely on the last season finale for season 4. I was going through and looking at some old images and graphics and things, and you were there. So Skull That Works says, hey, Pat. Skull That Works, this is a guy who's from the Huntsville, Alabama area, and met him in person a couple of times. Actually, the first time he and I met in person was at a High Lung ritual.
Oh, was that your first one, right? Your first and only
That
one, correct?
y-
Okay, I thought
my,
so.
my my first, yeah, I think maybe it was his first too, but it was definitely my first and only, thus far. But Skaldic Works has made his presence known in a more recent event at the Raven Moon Hearth Shadowmoot event last this past October. So he came up from the Huntsville, Alabama area and brought his toggle harp and drums and made a whole bunch of racket in a good way.
Of
Made
course.
a bunch of good heathen racket, you know, with his instruments and stuff. So he's good people, and yeah, so a lot of good familiar faces. For everybody that's just tuning in, watching this wherever you're watching this from, thank you. Again, this is the fifth season of the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. Which, if you're watching this live, we do these live streams once a month for one of those week's episodes. So um, I know some people will be catching this later on after it's broadcasted live. But if you do want to catch me live, it is a once a month sort of thing. I usually do it around the third or fourth week, usually on Monday nights because that's when I record the episodes. But if you don't catch a live stream and you want to continue to watch the video broadcasts, there is a way that you can do that. These full length features of the video podcast are available on my Patreon. It's just a $1 pledge to become a patron on my Patreon to catch the full length video features. So I have different tiers available. If you want to pledge more, there's different things that you get. But at the very least, pledging $1 gets you video access. So you get 3 to 4 episodes a month in video format. You get your name added to the end screen credits on my graphics at the end screen. So you get you're in the end screen credits as a Patreon supporter. But as you go up higher in the tiers, you get different perks and whatnot. But so, if you are interested, for those of you that are watching this live stream now and you want to become a supporter of the podcast, that $1 pledge definitely goes a long way. And it will help go a long way in something that I have an opportunity on participating in later next year, which I'll be talking a little bit throughout this podcast. So go to patreon.com/MidgardMusings or just Google search Midgard Musings Patreon. You'll find it. It's there. And consider becoming a supporter in that way if you so choose and if it makes you, if it tickles your pickle there.
Well,
So yeah, Scaldic Works, that was his first as well, his first Highlung ritual.
awesome.
So we both had our cherries popped on that night. Hello, Joshua Bright Spirit, my brother says, congrats on another successful season. Many more to come. I appreciate that, brother, and I do. Just want to say, that uh, one of the people who has been an instrumental part in inspiring me to keep this whole shindig going. Patrick is here. He's been an instrumental influence for me to want to keep this whole thing going. Joshua Bright Spirit, you as well, brother, have been really helpful for me in my life over the last 5 to 6 seasons, 5 6 years of life. Just to really help inspire me and keep things going. Because I'll be honest, there's been plenty of times where I feel just I'm done. I've had challenges and turmoil and stuff pop up where I'm like, the heck with it all, and I'm done with it. Um, but these two guys here, Joshua Bright Spirit and Patrick Walsh, you guys have been a huge reason why everybody else that's watching this and listening and whatever, how you're capturing all this stuff. These two guys have been a very influential part as to why we're still here. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jesse, and I'm very happy to share with anyone watching that I got to know Joshua Bright Spirit in person and via online from the get go, and he's a wonderful man. And like you, Jesse, he's helped me tremendously through many stages of my life, be it good, bad, and in between. And that's something I think we all share from personal experiences and collectively, and that really, stands testament to what we established together. And yeah, it's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the beautiful things about our relationship is that, and thank you, Bradley, also Bradley Boss for commenting. Said, "Hey guys, Yeah, Scarlet Works, been there, done that. Absolutely. Yeah, one of the beautiful things about Patrick's and my friendship, which has become a kinship, um, is it's been a journey. It's we each are going on our own separate journeys, but some of the journey has been shared in different ways, and in that shared journey, uh, Bright Spirit has been involved as well. So we have this shared life, the shared experience, while each of us are tying our own in threads of weird. We're doing our own things, and we're keeping our own homes and hearths as we are. Um, in that endeavor and through that process, we are also interweaving. Our threads are interweaving, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, Wild Heathen Wolfpack says spiritual burnout is real and often gets overlooked. Hence, why community is important, especially in our way of life. That's a very good observation, Wild Heathen Wolfpack, and I think Patrick has a very uh, keen and in tune experience and observation of that, because you Patrick, you yourself have also helped with forming a community of sorts, right, in your own way. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for folks that are here?
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, I completely understand the stages of burnout. It can be very vicious and downright ugly, but also it's very important to step back from that potential burnout phase and look to where you've gotten this far and how you've gotten this far. And yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm an avid High Lung follower and supporter, and High Lung marks a very and continued important chapter of my life, and really changed it in very wonderful ways. I got to meet some very special people. I got to spend time with them a few times, and after my first time is it's a long story. I want to dive into it just yet, maybe later on. But when I came home after hanging out with them my first time back in 2022 in Chicago, I was on my Amtrak train back home, and I thought to myself, I'm like, well, what can I do to, again, going back to the story, is what can I do to solidify this? So, anyways, I'm just gonna dive into it because a lot of people might be wondering. So, when I was hanging out with Highline my first time, one of the members goes, "Oh, he was vouching for me." He goes, "Oh, Patrick, he's a creator or admin of a certain Highland group, a Highland spiritual community." And he kept saying this. I'm like, "Hey," I had to pull him off to the side. I'm like, "Hey, the person I'm mentioning." I'm like, "I'm not a creator. I'm just an avid follower. I'm just here to support you guys." But then I kept thinking about it, and he told me in response, he goes, "Oh, that's okay, that's okay." I'm like, "Cool, kick ass." But again, on my train ride back home, I'm like, well, he mentioned being an admin of a group, so I'm like, well, let's do something with that. Let's really make a name for myself, and it's helped
Hmm.
me greatly. And reaching out to the community that I've created, and it's the Highland Spiritual Support Group. It ranges anywhere from just spiritual matters, personal matters within reason. And I tell all my people in my group that none of us are licensed practitioners in the mental health field by any means, but having a group, a safe space, if you will, to just really be yourself within reason, of course, because it's the internet. We have to respect other people's situations and privacies. But with that said, though,
Right.
I'm very happy to amass the following that I have, but more importantly, reach the few people that I have and really help them in their development and just be there as a someone to talk to or just a place just to be yourself and share yourself.
Well, you mentioned something few, and I do just want to say, like, while you might be modest, it's 2.6 thousand members. You
That
know.
is correct, yes. With that said, though, again, just a general gist of the group is I'll make a post on occasion, and we have like so many members, and grand total for the most part, we get maybe 100 or so
Right.
reactions. But again, I'm not
Right.
taking it personally, as I'm sure you
Yeah,
can
no, that's
relate
just
to.
yeah, that's just social media, you know.
Exactly.
And I did share so for if you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook wherever, I mean the link to Patrick's group is in the comments here. I've linked it. There are some, just membership questions, right, to make sure that you're not a bot or
Or
any such
scammer. Yeah.
crazy thing or scammer, right? But yeah, send the request, and there's the link. So it is a Facebook group. Obviously, if you're not on Facebook, then you know but for those of you that are and want to connect in this sort of way, like Patrick said, there's a lot of different stuff that gets posted there with the attention put on mental spiritual health, not just Heilung, but Heilung being a very focused
The
aspect of it.
focal point, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the foundation of what created everything to make it so. Just as well as my path where I'm at today.
Yeah. Got a question, or a comment rather, from Voodoo Viking on YouTube, who says, what happens if you can't find community? We're talking about community in the real sense, right? In the kind of the grassroots, boots on the ground, more than just online sense. What happens if you can't find community?
That's a really great question. I love that.
Um, yeah, so I mean, Patrick, you and I have known each other for again going on 6 years, almost since the beginning of my channel and posting content. And um, d- I feel like I want to ask you, like, did you have a sense of community, or do you have a sense of community in your area to connect to, like in grassroots level, and how has that presence or absence of the presence impacted you? Like, what happens if, like the Voodoo Viking says, if you can't find community?
I really can't express enough how much I love that question because me, for the greater part of my life, even now, I'm a solo practitioner. Now, saying solo practitioner, it doesn't mean you can't be part of community. Again, ever since I joined the Heimlich spiritual community, is when the doors were open. And 95 or more percent people that I talk to, support me, at the very least live outside of my state. That can range anywhere from Indiana, Tennessee, North Carolina. I mean, all over the world, and far reaching to Norway. You know, all over the place. So again,
Australia, I think you've got some
exactly.
people in Australia, like clear across
Bangkok,
the other
yeah,
side. Yeah.
it's crazy. But so going back to that question though, is though you may not have a community in person, because I'll trace back to your question in my area, but is this you make your own community, and at the very least you can set up some kind of arrangement to do like a video call or something like that. It's the sky is limitless. The potentials are limitless. So
Hmm.
with my area though, to go back to that, I don't have or I'm not familiar with any pagan or heathen groups near my area. And I will say I haven't sought any out because I'm too content and satisfied with the people that I excuse me have in my life. But yeah, the potentials range wildly. I mean, you could create your own community. It's again, it's unfair to compare. I like to say that a lot because you see people like Jesse, you have people very much near your neck of the woods where you can make moots and special holidays and celebrations possible.
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
all people have that luxury, but again, everyone learns and practices in their own special and individual ways. So again,
Hmm.
it's easy to fall into that feeling of like, well, I don't have a community. You do. You're part of this live stream. You're part of this community. Make our musings. You have a community.
Yeah, this is a version of community. I mean, it definitely
Right,
falls
right.
under that description.
But not
Um,
to the sense of practicing, like
yeah,
slots or Sabbaths. But yeah,
right. Yeah, Bright Spirit mentioned something here on Facebook, that music has always been such an incredible connection of people, and this is something I think that's worth mentioning and recognizing also, that the rhythm of the earth, the heartbeat of the earth that we all share a coexistence on. You know, we live here, we are part of her, Mother Earth, Mother Yord, whatever name you want to place to this great, you know, landmass that we are living on, and in different places of the world. There is a universal heartbeat that resonates, and music is a universal language that can connect us, because while we may not understand spoken languages because of dialects and because of, again, you know, you may not be versed in French or German or Spanish or Latvian or Norwegian or any other language of the world. Music, the rhythm, the beat, uh, is this sort of unspoken universal language that unites all of us. And that's one of the beauties of connecting with people that speak that language, right? Musicians especially, that can come and share their craft, share their skill with the world, because it connects people beyond just what is in front of us. And sometimes, and I like what you said, Patrick, is that you can there is a community. Voodoo Viking acknowledges this and says thank you. And there is community. One of the other there's another content creator who I've been following for years. There is an air of controversy around this person. I'm not going to get into that. But Ocean Keltoy on YouTube. If you know the name Ocean Keltoy, if you've been following his content for any length of time, one of his famous phrases or infamous phrases is "find a way or make one." And to your point, Patrick, right? Like, you either find a community or you make a community. All right.
Yep.
So you build something from something. You build something from what you want to attract. And I've said many times is, be the thing that you want to attract. Don't necessarily go into it with the idea or with the notion that you want to attract anybody. Just be an example of what you think is good, and then the right people will come to you. Like that. Kind recognizes kind. Fire kindles fire. Like, there's iron sharpens iron. Like, there's various either like kennings or things that you can use to describe what I'm saying. But yeah, community is out there, and to what degree your community is, like you say, it's limited only to your capabilities of reaching it. You want to get out there and do boots on the ground meetups and establish something in your area. I know plenty of people in Missouri that are doing stuff like this. Now, Missouri is a big area. Don't get me wrong. Just because Missouri is, just because you're in Missouri and other people in Missouri, like you could be 4.5, 5 hours away and still be in the same
Easily.
state
Yeah.
easily.
Exactly.
Same as
Very
Tennessee.
frustrating.
You know what I mean? Same as Tennessee.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there's people out there that are doing things, and if they're not within a close enough proximity to your area, then what's stopping you from doing that thing in your area? You know.
Exactly.
Uh, and then Scarlet Works makes a very good point, right? It's unwise to force community. It's organic enough out here, folks. Like, it's organic enough to uh, nurture the organic nature of it. If you're forcing it to happen, then it's almost like trying to grow oranges in Appalachia.
Hmm.
All right, if you're forcing it, it ain't gonna work, man. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna take. It might last a season or two because of ideal, quote unquote, ideal conditions. But guess what? Oranges don't grow in Appalachia organically. If you're
No.
forcing it to happen, if you're trying to force something to happen, it's not going to um, it's not going to take root. It's not going to flourish. Um, so yeah, be more, or be more attuned or in tune with the organic aspect of growth, and feed the growth. Don't try to force it. You know.
And that I'd like to take this opportunity to also go back to, again, the Highland spiritual community. When I
Yes.
first joined them, I never sought out, making my own community. It happened the way it happened. And especially with meeting people on the internet, there's always that risk of meeting unsavory individuals who don't have your best interests in mind. Again, these are perfect strangers I'm referring to, not friends. But all the same, though, I never expected to get to this point in my life with this community and my brother or sister community, the Highline US group. It's natural, it's organic. None of us sought each other out. We just met each other. We just created the bond. With any special people or persons I met this year, the last few years, again, me and you, Jesse, like when I sought you out, I didn't seek you out.
Hmm.
Again, going back to the foundation of me and you, I was looking on YouTube, late 2020, how to
Yeah.
perform a basic heathen ritual. I'm like, all right, this. I scrolled through a few people. I took a peek here and there videos, and I saw you. I'm like, all right, let's check them out. Click, all right, and then listen to you, and just despite the quality of your video back then, I didn't think twice of
Right.
it. I'm like, I like this guy. I fucking love him. He's just genuine. He's not dropping like sales pitch like, oh, be sure to check out my merch and da 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 da. Just
Yeah.
sales pitch, sales pitch, sales
Yeah.
pitch. Just like money,
Yeah.
money, 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 or follow. I want your likes, I want your loves. Like, you did so modestly. I mean, I don't even remember anything like that, but just,
Yeah,
you're
it's
down
out
to
there.
earth.
You just
It's out there.
go down the rabbit hole. I've plugged enough
Sure.
of my shit because what do you do when you're creating content? You do
You
that.
got to
But
throw
yeah,
your
no,
hat in the ring. You got to throw your
yeah,
hat in the ring now.
yeah,
Yeah, but just all the same though, out of all the videos and people I saw that night, it's funny because going back to that story is followed you on YouTube, and then we have a mutual friend, Matthew Petrie, and
yeah.
then finally we became friends on Facebook, and then fast forward visit you 2021 or no 2022 I believe it was.
I'd have to look back, but I
I
think it
think
was
it's
2021.
2022.
I think it was
Yep.
2021.
I think it's 2022 because that's after the first time I hung with Hylon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been because I know there was still like
Uh,
this global awareness of a pandemic, and you
Yeah, that's
traveled, and
right.
then and all that. But yeah, I feel like 20. So you came out
2022, I believe, is
to,
it?
but uh, yeah, because 2022 you came and visited me.
Yeah, just you.
2023
No Far Mountain.
Fire on the Mountain number
That
one,
was for
and then
yep.
this year Fire on the Mountain number two. So
That's
that
correct.
tracks.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's it. Yep.
yeah, yep,
Wow. This is crazy thinking about it, though. I mean,
yep.
before we ever met in person, though, we just go on conversating on Messenger and just
Hmm.
having great conversations. And again, even before we met each other in person, we created very special memories.
Yeah, that's where it started, right? It started on this
Yep.
online thing, and like Voodoo Viking on YouTube is saying, like, there's no offense meant in any way, but it's like loving. If all you get is online, then it's just pornography. I think I get the sentiment because it's superficial. If all you're doing is obtaining gratification, satisfaction from online interactions, then there's nothing there to satisfy the in person need or desire to connect with a person.
That was a
Uh,
very good
it's
point.
very platonic. Like
Yeah.
it's superficial, and it doesn't satisfy that inner need. Because let's face it, us as human beings, we are social creatures. We crave uh, social connections. And yeah, if all you're getting is this, I can be whoever I want to be because I'm online and you're not seeing me for who I really am. Like anybody can put a persona
Absolutely. Yeah.
online, all right? Um, so yeah, I don't take offense to that, and I understand like that's a real thing. You can
Yeah.
you
Nor
can
do I. Yeah.
be anybody to these
It's much more
people out
meaningful to
here.
have. Yeah, it's much more meaningful in person because I've told Jesse several. I've lost count how many times I've told you, Jesse. Several nights, mornings, afternoons. Like, hey, man, I really wish I was there right now. I mean, just
Right.
convenience. can't have that, but
6 hours
can.
away, yeah, like,
Yeah,
oh
well,
yeah, let me
yeah,
just get in the car
roughly.
and drive out there.
Exactly, but you're not the only person I met to travel a long distance with, and each person I meet to travel far from, it's very meaningful because not only are you taking your own time, but your own energy, your money, your interest, your love. I mean, again, it can go both ways.
I think it
Fortunate for
should go
me,
both ways, you
it
know?
should. Now, for me, fortunately, everyone I've ever came to visit, make the trip to go see them, it's always worked out very, very well. And I'm very, very happy for it. One person example, Cliff, he lives in Terre Haute, Indiana, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I visited him quite a few times. And he's a guy, I'll never forget the first time I met him in person. It felt uncannily natural. Like I just showed up at his front door. I would have walked in, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna be that guy. But this stuff
Yeah.
is very beautiful, though. Very
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is, man. And like you say, it does go both ways. At least it should. Scarlet Work says there's a large local community of heathens here in the area of Alabama that they're in, but they all gather in one place and don't seem to want to branch out into their own smaller tribes. I don't know, that's an interesting comment. I feel like it's a little bit backwards. I feel like you should focus on your smaller groups first before branching out outwards. Or maybe there's this whole thing where I need to find my community first before finding that smaller insular, you know, group of people. I get that too.
Yeah,
Because how are you going to find your tribe unless you connect with your community first?
yeah,
Because the tribe exists in the community. Those smaller kind of branches of a family exist in that community, and the community could consist of multiple extensions of various clans or families or hearths or whatever name you want to put to it as. um, Cowboy on YouTube says that my community is just me, perhaps another solitary or isolated practitioner, but I always invite friends and to come and learn. But if you're always looking for a community, you'll drive yourself crazy. That's why I always do my own thing.
I respect that immensely. I hope you don't mind me saying this ahead of you, but just
Go ahead.
that's exactly right. Your community, in my opinion, starts with you, with us, like us as a person. Because how do you expect to grow any further from that and love yourself? Like any relationship, you have to love yourself, appreciate yourself, and where you find yourself in your early days, now, and the future. You gotta have the proper foundation because you gotta find the right people who will be there with you through thick and thin. Now, with that said, though, there's gonna be messed up times and disagreements and setbacks because we've all been there. But yeah, as a solo practitioner myself, again, ideally in a perfect world, I'd live, anywhere near my special people, but that's not the case. But at the same time, I'm grateful for that solo practitioner because I can go to a tribe or a certain group of friends and make special memories. But yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've shared something recently that in I see so much, and I'm witness to so much, whether it's local or on a broader scale. And I go, man, there's too many people building up walls when they should be expanding their tables and lengthening their tables. There's this just seemingly overarching habit of creating barriers between groups and barriers between individuals of groups even. And it's like, well, why? Because somebody said something that you didn't like. How about you get down to the nitty gritty of things and show up and be reasonable, right? And talk to people and be like, look, just because I don't necessarily agree with you doesn't mean that we're at odds with one another.
no, no, no.
A tribe doesn't have to agree with another tribe's way of doing things to be allies. they can be amicable, and this is what I personally believe heathenry um, exists and thrives in is sovereignty of tribe and sovereignty of hearth. Is that every hearth within a tribe is sovereign. They should be able to conduct and do their own things respectively to their own ways of doing things. And then when those hearths, homes, clans, families meet together as the tribe and do things as the tribe, there is a sovereignty of the tribal thew, the tribal custom, the tribal way of doing things. And then that tribal way of doing things is not necessarily the overarching authority on all heathen way of doing things. It's just their way of doing things. It's, you know, every group is sovereign, just as every hearth is sovereign. So they do their own things under the sovereignty of their own secular group. But as a tribe, as a collective, they should be able to meet together and do things collectively that are amicably well doing and when well being, that are good for that tribe. Now that doesn't mean that that tribe's way of doing things is the way that every other tribe in the area is doing things. But again, there's this amicability. There's this. At least I feel like there should be this understanding. Like, hey, we're on the same team here, right? We may not necessarily agree or do everything. And I'll just use for an example, right? Historical heathen practices, old ways, Alcidu, Fornseither, old ways, pre-Christian heathenry, doing everything by the lunisolar calendar, blah blah blah, versus new ways heathenry. Like, we don't need to be at odds with one another. If you're doing your own thing in this group and they're doing their own things in this group, but we're not enemies. We're venerating the same gods or goddesses, and you know what I mean. Like, we have our own ways of seeing things and doing things, but we're not enemies to one another. So why this
Separation
animosity,
when there's
separation?
it's funny. I hope you don't mind me, but
And
this
I'll
is
catch
a
up to
really
some comments too here, everybody.
yeah.
Just for you guys watching, we're talking. So Patrick,
Thank
you go
you.
ahead and
Yeah,
we'll catch up to
I
some
appreciate
comments.
you guys letting me intervene here. But Yule is my favorite example this time of year.
This time of year, here we
Yeah,
are. Perfect example. Go
exactly.
ahead.
So, me and you, Jesse. Let me go back to my earlier days before I met you. I used to celebrate Yule in December, do the 12 nights of Yule. Again,
Me
if you
too.
celebrate that, hell yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I respect that immensely. But then, upon my dedication, for all personal reasons, I'll just say that personal reasons, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather do it by such and such reference. I have people in my group who celebrate Yule around winter solstice. The whole time that I try to correct them, like, no. I'm like, hey, that's cool. I'll be celebrating it this time, whatever, but we're still friends. We're still following each other. We still support each other. That's fine. Especially with our practice and our path, it can be very tumultuous. We already have enough bullshit, frankly speaking, to deal with. Like racism, segregation, all that crap. Like, we already have enough on our plate. Let's just stick to the meat and potatoes and really see what we're trying to celebrate, venerate, and appreciate. And it goes a long way. Because again, I used to practice similarly back in December, but ever since then, I'm like, I'll just practice the lunar calendar or whatever. It's just, why create separation where it's not needed? It's not necessary. We practice, and again, with learning, growing, and developing, it's not anyone's pace. Yes, strength in numbers, absolutely, but as an individual, you're the only person, and not to sound cynical, but you're the only person you can count on when push comes to shove collectively in your darkest of times. You got to be your own best friend before you be a best friend or a partner or whatever with
Yeah.
anyone else. Again,
Yeah.
when I say this to anyone else who's watching, as well as I tell this to myself, because it's a learning process. It's something that it's not accomplished by any mere months or years. It's a life practice. This is what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, like as you said, I started my. Oh, hang on a second. Hang on a second. We have a we have a new
Adam.
guest. We have a new guest joining us. Yeah. So Adam,
Yes, sir.
um, user error, perhaps.
ID Tinty Technician error.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. This is Adam Cage. He is a local leader of the heathen community in Tennessee, a brother of mine. He is also with the Raven Moonhearth Kindred in Nashville, or based out of Nashville, so Middle Tennessee, a Middle Tennessee heathen, um, and involved with other pagan stuff around the area. Um, so real quick before I just want to welcome you to the live stream, Adam. Thank you
Can't
for
hear you.
coming on, brother.
Thank you.
Patrick, can you hear me? Your screen's gone blank. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, your screen's gone blank, Patrick. That's okay. We'll keep going. Uh, I'll uh, I'll mute him for a second. But anyway, we are talking about various things, and we're going to get caught up on some user comments, some viewer comments here. But we were talking about like the historical observation of certain holidays. Yule being the topic at hand right now. A historical observation of Yule versus a more modern view of Yule. Um, but anywho, let me just get caught up on some comments because I know there's a bunch of comments that are in the queue. We got Voodoo Viking on YouTube that said, when you've had it just when all you've had is just yourself, what do you do? Talking in terms of community, and we were talking about this before you joined, Adam. I don't know if you were watching at all, but we were talking about community and the the online aspect of community versus the in-person aspect of community, and how there can be this sort of disassociation with reality um, when all you have is an online community to work with. Voodoo Viking made a comment that it just cuts right to the chase. It's like it seems very pornographic. Like all you have is images and sounds and things that could stimulate your senses from the auditory and visual aspects of things in an online community, but you don't have this real tangible in-person connection to people in the boots on the ground, grassroots sort of thing. So their comment was following up as when all you've had is just yourself in this online community, then what do you do? We'll get back to that, I'm sure. But Scaldic Works down in Alabama, their online community hangs out at the Ravenwood Meadery. Good people down there. Voodoo Viking following up says the problem that I find with making mead is everyone wants it, but no one's willing to come together. Yeah, I want the booze, but I don't want to do anything to earn my spot in the queue there. Schizo is I'm sorry for everybody that's watching. I'm catching up on some comments. We'll get through it all. Schizo says I feel like the right community will find you at the best time, and that's what happened to them. I'll just pause right there, and it kind of goes back to
There we
what
go.
I was saying before. Yeah, you there, Patrick?
I can't hear anybody though.
We can hear you.
Yeah, you got to turn your camera on, brother. But anyway, like the whole the right community will find you, right? Like plant the seed. Like it goes back. Like I've talked about it before in a way. Like if you build it, they will come. The whole field of dreams kind of thing, right? Build be the thing that you want to attract others, and they will come. Like there's not this unorganic way of doing it. It's not trying to be forcing of anything. It's either the community exists and they'll find you, or you're going to do the things that attract the attention of the community, or vice versa, right? Like it's you gotta put yourself out there. You got to be accessible in some sort of way. Otherwise, they're not going to know. Nobody's going to know. If you're not making yourself accessible to some degree, how are you going to know? You got to go to the meetups. You got to find the community. You got to be there in person to connect with those people. Um, Adam, I feel like you've probably seen enough of that, or a
Yeah.
good portion of that, to weigh in on it if you wanted to, because you
Uh,
know.
well, yeah, like I started my journey 20 years ago, and the group that I was with, they disbanded quite quickly. I spent the next, I don't know, 17 years or so as a sole practitioner. I would go to events that when I knew there were events around or people would invite me, I'd go to their events, and then I found Raven Moon Hearth and felt like I was at home. That was where I needed to be at. Uh, so I joined them, and since joined them, of course, we now have the THL, or the
All right,
Tennessee
let's
Heathen
try
Leader Group.
I can't hear you guys though. Fucking
Yeah,
hell, son of a
Patrick,
bitch.
go ahead and just drop and
try
then
something
rejoin.
here.
Yeah.
But I saw that the original intent was one thing, and I've tried to change it to something else and include everybody in it. Matter of fact, you're one of the members of the Tennessee Heathens Leader Group, to try to build community. So people like I believe his name was Voodoo. So he would have.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be such an Voodoo Viking wouldn't be in a online community. He could actually still have a community outside of whatever he was doing. I mean, you will find it. Online, there are people that know what they're talking about, and then there's people that believe they know what they're talking about. And to know the difference online, you can't get the same as you would with something like an in-person meeting.
Right. Now he was saying too, like that, and I know who Voodoo Viking is. We talk outside of the YouTube space. Like, I know where they're located. But it's like what he's saying is, it's like you want me for it's like all you want me for is to get something off of me and just throw money at me, but not a but not, was it communer? Communer. Yeah, communer, like WTF, like what the hell? I'll just stay alone and drink my own product. It's like, so I guess there's a sentiment or feeling of being taken advantage of, because you provide a service, you provide something that is you're providing a service to a community, and all they want to do is take advantage of that service or those goods. Welcome back, Patrick.
Yeah, and
thank you.
Unfortunately, I feel for him, because that is kind of some, for a better lack of the term, BS. I mean, we all have our specialties, and if his specialty is making mead, then they should be willing to not only trying to think of the correct word, basically not only pay him for the mead, but be willing to consume it with him, to have fellowship. Because otherwise, it's just
give something back.
Yeah, give something back. I mean, hey man, that's great mead. Yeah, that works for so long, but then after a while, it's, why do I even try?
Yeah,
kind of a mentality, and unfortunately, that does hurt one's spiritual outlook on things, because it's like, well, you guys are just using me for this, and I don't want to be used for this.
Yeah, you have a skill set, and then other people are taking advantage of it, but they're not contributing. There's no reciprocity, and that's the beauty of heathenry, is that there's this understanding, and there's this shared understanding of reciprocity. The gift cycle goes both ways. You don't give something, You don't get something without wanting to give something, and then the reciprocal party, the receiving party, knows that I don't receive what I've been given without a gift in return. Case in point, I got a tattoo back at the early part of November, which was pro bono. It was a gift. It was a gift from the tattoo owner, or the tattoo shop owner. Shout out to Free Spirit Tattoo, Greg Allison down there and outside of Huntsville in Greenhaven. I think it's Green Hazel, Alabama. But they did a tattoo for me, and I walked out of the shop, and my wife, they wanted a piece of merchandise, a shirt. But anyway, like we did the tattoo, and I did a podcast. My wife wanted a shirt, and I couldn't provide monetary money to give in exchange for that, but I provided a rune set. Right? I understood the reciprocity that was there, like a gift for a gift. This is
Yeah.
this is basic heathen values. These are basic heathen understanding of things, and let's face it, the world at large, gentlemen, like the world at large doesn't operate in this mentality. This is a pretty secular kind of view of the world when we talk about these sorts of things, unfortunately. So
The barter
you know,
system.
yeah, this for that, quid pro quo. Voodoo Viking also says that it's like all you want from me is to get something off of me. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I already had that comment. Uh, Sorry, guys. Let me jump over here to Wild Heathen Wolfpack's comment. From my travels, I've observed from the building slash finding that either tribes are extremely tight knit and usually don't let outsiders in, or the cautionary tale of horror stories of bad tribes. Wild Heathen Wolfpack. They are based out of Alaska. So this is a really interesting comment. I'm going to talk more a bit about this on this podcast. I mentioned this early on, and we're deep into the podcast now. So just for people's awareness, Wild Heathen Wolfpack, they operate out of Alaska, and I was cordially invited to attend the Heathen Days and Pagan Nights Festival up in Salcha, Alaska, next year in 2025, which is, I think, close to or around outside of the Fairbanks, Alaska area. So I get to go, and I get to talk about heathen stuff. I get to produce a podcast. I get to talk about things, and I get to maybe do a class or two with these folks up there. But they've got a community, and even up in this remote area, they're seeing some of the same stuff that Adam. They're seeing some of the same stuff that Adam. Let me go ahead and mute Patrick. Sorry about that, folks. But anyways,
You're good.
hey Patrick, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. We had a little bit of audio
You're
feedback,
good.
so apologies for that. But yeah, anyway, so they're seeing stuff similar to what we see here in a very close knit community area up in a very remote area as well, where they're either extremely tight knit or they're cautionary. They kind of stay outside of things and keep things. As like I mentioned before, I don't know if you were here, but I mentioned like there seems to be more of an effort at times to build walls instead of extending tables and lengthening tables. We see this. We see this happening in places even outside of our immediate area, up in Alaska. Not my hall, not my call, says Matthew Sarah. Skull that works is greeting Adam. And I want to catch a comment from Joshua Bright Spirit, who says that in those even small instances of conflict or difference, especially online, people, instead of looking to grow, learn, or develop, we tend to sell it all short with quote unquote, someone must be right or someone must also be wrong. You guys care to comment on that?
Yeah, I will.
This whole like I'm right, you're wrong, they're right, you're wrong. Like
It's you're not gonna make any progress as a person or as a tribe thinking that way. Because going back to what we were discussing, Jesse, is progress and achievements and setbacks and life in general. It's not at any one collective pace. It's at an individual pace. Like there might be certain members of a tribe, let's say a hypothetical tribe that doesn't exist. Sally gets it, Joe doesn't. But Joe still very much connected and wants to reciprocate. Does it make him any lesser? No. He's still growing and learning, developing, just as the other party. It's I'm struggling to find the right words to say, but just it's fully hard to say anyone's right or wrong. It's just a learning process and experience.
Adam, you have anything to add to that?
Well, something I've said to several people, because I've had dealings with that here more recently than not, is I feel like everybody should remember that there's three sides to a story. There's person A's side, person B's side, and then the truth. But person A and person B need to be able to come to some kind of heartfelt
understanding.
Yes, for a better lack of the word. Thank you, Patrick. Understanding, so that they can still grow together. Just for and when I say this, please, Patrick, I'm gonna pick on you for just a little bit.
That's fine. Give it to me.
Me and Jesse like Ozzy Osbourne. You don't prefer Ozzy. But guess what? Just because you don't like Ozzy doesn't mean we can't still go to a Heathen concert or a Wardroom concert, or go to a local bar and have a beer. It doesn't mean we can't do that. Everybody's going to have a difference. And okay, you don't like Ozzy, for example. That doesn't make you wrong. Doesn't make you right. I like him. Doesn't make me wrong or right. And that's what people need to realize, is there's always, we're going to have indifferences no matter what. And even in our own tribes, we can have indifferences, but does not mean that we still cannot grow and grow our community, grow our spiritual lives. Our friendships can't grow, or they can still grow just because we have differences. That's what makes us human, is the differences that we have.
It's actually kind of beautiful in a way. It's awesome having different opinions, because Jesse, me and you share music out on occasion. Sometimes you share something I don't care for, or vice versa. And sometimes you share something with me I never heard before. Just because I never heard of them, am I going to give it a hard no? No, of course not.
Yeah.
I got to give it a chance.
Yeah.
You never know unless you try, within reason, of course, within certain things and people. But, it's just within reason. But, it's just, you got to try it before you knock it, for the most part, though.
Yeah, pretty much.
You just, in my shaker world, like Gagaldir, Jesse, the one song, I can't think of the name of it though.
Which one is it now? The
one with the burning algaes.
Yeah, but who was it? Galdir?
Yeah. Because you did a podcast with them once.
Oh, you're talking about Voluspa.
Thank you, Voluspa. It was escaped my mind. Yeah. Voluspa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I never would have discovered them until you brought them to my attention. And ever since you did, I'm like, hey, Jesse, here's another, link to the song.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's, music is one thing, practices are another thing. It's like we were talking earlier before about, a heathen, and this is where we get into the weeds a bit. My tribe's approach to when we celebrate Yule, we collectively agreed to celebrate Yule following a historical pre-Christian observance of the reckoning of time. So we will do that next month. Now, is anybody else that is choosing to observe their Yuletide now for the next 12 nights, are they wrong? Well, what does wrong really mean? Are you trying to say that they're not heathen for doing so? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that,
Of
because
course.
who am I? Right? If you want to say that it is old ways heathen beliefs to do so, that is factually incorrect. It's factually wrong, because the pre-Christian heathens did a 3-night Yule celebration, at the time and whence they did it. But I'm not going to split hairs with one group in my region or in my area that wants to do a 12-night Yule celebration around this time of year versus the other group that wants to do a more historical view or approach to it. I'm not going to split hairs and divide myself with them because of that. Like, that's dumb. That's stupid. Like, do what
It's
you want to
productive.
do in your own
Yeah.
way. Like, but so and it goes back to, if I ultimately think about, like, you think about the downfall of heathenry, when it all happened, how it all happened. You go back thousands and thousands of years, and you look at the reason why heathenry in continental Germanic lands in Northern Europe, why did it die? Why did it fizzle out? Why was it extinguished? It was because there was no unity. There was no confederation. There was no sense of, let's band together, let's join together, and let's be the thing that needs to be the thing to keep us going. There was influence of money, there was influence of land, there was influence of position, title, right? You go back 1,000, 1,500 years ago, when Charlemagne was wiping people out. The Franks were going through, and they were doing what they were doing. It was, abandon your heathen ways, be baptized into the church, become Christian, and you will get title, you will get land, you will get nobility, you will get all these things, right? And it was the tangible yum, 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 money, right? All these beautiful things that they could, and they said, okay, forget it, forget the full moon blessings, forget the keeping of our holy tides and sacred groves, forget all that. They did it for the almighty dollar, as it were, at the time. A lot of them did. There were some that resisted, and there were some that said, no, we're going to fight. Wittekind was one of the last Saxon heathen heroes that said, no, I'm not gonna do that. We're going to fight. But he didn't have allies. So yeah, not that we're facing the same thing nowadays, but there's something of that nature to be reminded of. Voodoo Viking says that people easily love respect for each other. People easily lose respect for each other, is what I have to say is the largest factor in such cases. I'm going to mute a couple of people here because I'm getting a lot of feedback right now. And then Bright Spirit says that it's the wedge in accessing a lot of community. And again, especially online, that communication breakdown is discussing what we believe and having lost the ability to be humbly right or humbly wrong for the sake of growth toward that community dynamic. Humbly right and humbly wrong. That's a tough place for a lot of us, I think, to get to. Because we're not always right. What is right, what is wrong, on the community scale. I don't know, Adam. What do you think?
My personal belief is we are all humble in some way. Now, the humble right or the humble wrong, it's neither, to me, that's neither here nor there. To almost to be a good leader in in this community, you have to be humble. You have
Oh yeah.
to know, yeah, you may be right on something, but you may be wrong on something else. And to keep yourself humble and to see that is how you would work to build everything, to build not only your self worth inside the community, but inside your own tribe, inside your own home, and at your own workplace even. So as like he says, you have to be humble for the sake of growth towards that community dynamic.
Yeah, I think humility is one of these things that gets. I mean, it's. I don't want to say necessarily forgotten, but when a leader is put into a position, hopefully the way I see it, is hopefully that leader is voted or believed to be put into a position of leadership based upon the needs of the people, right? So it's not something that is just arbitrarily bestowed upon oneself to do. It is based around uh,
Deeds.
the vote of confidence, right? Like, yeah, the deeds of that person, but also the people that are in that community to see, like, hey, this person who I see as right and good to serve in that position of
Mhm.
leadership, um, that they do carry a sense of humility in that role of leadership. Um, there's also a need, I feel, that the people who have joined that community, who are a part of that community, who have given this person the position of leadership, there is a sense of humility upon the people as well to trust. Like, the burden of trust lies on the leader, right? I need to give you reason to trust me. I need to give you reason to believe what I say is what it is, or what they whatever, right? I understand that. Um, do you think, and is there, do have you seen perhaps that there is an act of defiance amongst the others that say, no, I don't like what you're saying, and therefore I'm going to defy leadership? It's like, hey, you know what, you can defy it all you want. You may not like it, but does that give you the right to usurp the leadership? And and maybe I'm getting in, and maybe I'm getting into some stuff that's just like, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to say that the leader is the ultimate authority on things. I think there should be, what's the word I'm looking for? There should be this consensus
Yeah, like an
in
or
yeah,
elder
like,
Oh
council.
yeah,
yeah,
like, it's not,
definitely.
it's not a dictatorship. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not one person's say so. It there. But when the leaders converge and when the leaders unite and they make a decision on something, well, then if those are your leaders, then by golly, that's what you stand by. You have aligned yourself with the leaders that you yourself believe to be in that position to do things for the best interest of the people. And
Mhm.
if they're failing, there needs to be a process. There needs to be there needs to be steps to correct or to course correct. Because like you say, not everybody's perfect, and then there's going to be errors that get made. But to just
Apology check is
arbitrarily just be
important.
like uproot and to create this like mutiny, as it were,
Yeah,
in a community, just because I don't like what somebody says. Like, I don't think that's the way to go either, per
yeah,
se.
Am I coming
yeah.
through here? Am
Yeah, we can hear you, Patrick. Sorry,
Okay,
buddy.
cool. Awesome.
Cowboy on YouTube says it's definitely a pride for some people throughout the community, a pride issue. Absolutely.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, Too many chiefs, not enough Indians, as they say, or as the saying goes.
Well, yeah. So, like I was just reminded, there's a lot of conflict resolution that's not being taken care of inside the community or inside the tribes. And when that's when you have your main issue is when the tribes cannot talk and come up with their own resolution. That's when they start to fall apart.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's an important thing too. Is if you have members or individuals of separate sovereign tribes infringing upon one another. You know what I mean? Like, handle your own business, handle your own stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not in a position to I'm not in a position to infringe upon the sovereignty of Raven Moonhearth.
Yeah.
We'll just use as an example, and
Yeah.
just like Raven Moonheart's not in a position to infringe upon the sovereignty of my, the Flurry folk,
Yeah.
the tribe that I'm associated with and to. So if there's a conflict or there's something that is happening, handle your shit, right? Handle your own business. And that's the beauty of what sovereignty of tribe to me means, is that you're and I think that's also a big problem too, because I think that groups are being formed and maybe established without that structure, right? They're not able to handle their own stuff internally, and so when all these other outside influences are out there, it's well, this person said this, that, or the other, or you know.
Oh, believe me, I understand wholeheartedly what you're saying.
I see it like I call it, man. I say it like I see it. Voodoo Viking says, don't air your dirty laundry. I think that's fair too. Godfrey Bear on Facebook is, what's he doing? What's Godfrey Bear? Oh yeah, sorry I'm late. Was playing with dinosaurs. Well, cool, man. Enjoy the dinosaurs. But yeah, I'm gonna take a quick recess. I'm gonna pause for just a minute to do a bathroom break. We'll keep the live stream going. Adam, you're welcome to stay if you want. I'm gonna just do a quick minute or two break. So for folks that are listening and watching, please follow and subscribe to what I do. This is the season 5 finale of the Random Heathen Ramblings podcast. We'll be back in just a minute or two after a quick bathroom break. Adam, like I said, you're welcome to stay if you're willing or wanting to. You're under no obligation to do so whatsoever. But we can pick up.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, brother. So yeah, we're gonna take a quick break. Listen to some music in the background while we do a quick bathroom break, and we'll pick up our conversation when we get back. So, thank you all for tuning in and watching, and we'll be back shortly. All right, folks, we're back. Thank you for the brief intermission slash break. Um, and welcome back to Adam and everybody else. And maybe Patrick will rejoin, not sure. But yeah. Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. Like semantics, I guess boils down to semantics. Welcome back to you, Scaldic Works, as well. Thanks for commenting there. Yeah, we're still here. We're still broadcasting live for the season 5 finale. I did mention earlier in the podcast about some of the wild heathen wolf pack comments that have been coming through, especially on YouTube. So for those of you that don't know, I was cordially invited to attend the Heathen Days and Pagan Nights event in Salcha, Alaska, which is about 30 minutes or so outside of Fairbanks, as I understand. So I'm getting a chance to travel to Alaska next year. And all of your help is greatly appreciated with that, because I get a chance to travel and connect with heathens in the area that I don't normally connect with. So if you're willing and wanting to help with that endeavor, joining my Patreon is the best way to do that. So when you go to patreon.com/MidgardMusings, you can join at any tier level that you want. The very basic level is the Carl tier, and it's just a $1 pledge. So when you join at that tier, you get access to my video podcasts. You get an in-screen credit mention in the splash screen at the end of all of my video podcasts. And if you want to go up from there, there's different tiers. But if you go to patreon.com/MidgardMusings, supporting me in that way is going to help with us getting to Alaska next year. My wife and I, and stuff. So I'm going to be talking about it going into season 6 and really trying to push with that. So if you want to help in any that way, again, it's just $1 a month. That $1 a month pledge gets you video access to at least 3 to 4 video podcasts each month. You get to watch these sorts of live streams and stuff if you don't get a chance to join the live stream in real life or real time, action or whatever. So it helps, and it's greatly appreciated, and thank you so much. All right. Yes, welcome back, Godfrey Bear, and Matthew Sarah has quite a comment to share. Matthew Sarah has a question about the Vatir. I have a room in his house that I really hate entering because every fiber in my being is telling me, quote unquote, get out. This is an old house that used to be a doctor's office 50 years ago. People have died here, and it's known to be, quote unquote, haunted. Things have been seen and heard and felt. Is it hypocritical for me to venerate Landvatir on holidays like Diesebloat, but not feel good about being in this room? Well, I think the operative question here is it hypocritical for me to venerate Landvatir on holidays but not feel good about being in the room? I don't know, Adam. Do you have anything you want to, after seeing that or thinking about that? Do you have anything that you want to add about land spirits, local spirits, your interaction with such in the context of this sort of dynamic wherein a local spirit seems to or appears to be in a very like the nature of taking control of the area. Like, this is my space, get out. You're not welcome here, that sort of thing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I cannot say I've personally had any experiences like that. I that's a tough one.
Yeah. These types of things tend to be tough because, again, with space, with land, with shared space, you know, um, a lot of times what can happen is the spirit of the place or the spirit of the land around it can take up residency and be quite the force to be reckoned with. Um, from a heathen perspective, land is claimed, space is claimed to be under the auspices of the person claiming it, or the people claiming it, through the use of fire. Okay, so sacred space, land. If you're going to try to set space as being your own, or under the auspices of your own, fire should be present. From a heathen perspective, you should walk the space, the barriers, the perimeter of the land or of the space with fire, and that could be a torch, that could be a candle, that could be any iteration or existence of fire. I think, especially in modern times, some places, it may not be it may not be prudent or safe to carry a torch in an apartment, but a candle can work, right? Because it's fire. Um, and to declare the space as such. All right. Now if it's the nature of the spirit who resides there and who exists there is malevolent, um, then it might require the help of someone who is a bit more in tune with the spirit realm. So maybe a Githia or a Gothi, or someone who is a practitioner of Save, right? The shaman-esque type equivalent, um, someone who can communicate with the spirit realm a bit better. So if there's a challenge there to set space, to declare space through the use of fire, if you're being pushed back with that spirit's presence, then you might want to consider employing or incorporating the aid or the use of someone who is more in tune with the spirit realm to do that. But in terms of the question, is it hypocritical to venerate Landvitir on holidays but you don't feel good about it? I think if you're infringing upon the native spirits, if you're infringing upon the native spirits' activity, if they feel that they have precedence over the land or over the space, then you might need to again incorporate the aid of someone else to cleanse that space. I've only ever worked in space that is benevolent, so I've not been needed or I've not been asked to step into spaces of a malevolent nature. This seems like your situation is incorporated or inhabited by a spirit of malevolent intent. So, trying to do anything or trying to behave in any way that is of a venerative nature towards either the Disir, meaning your female ancestors, or the Alfar, your male ancestors, or anything like that, could be met with opposition because they have a strong presence there. And so, if they're not welcome and they're not needed and they're not wanted there, they need to be told as such and they need to be moved out. The Landnama book, which is an Icelandic source of the book of settlers in Iceland. So when the Norwegians moved and settled in Iceland, there's some uh, information in that source that might give you some, again, inspiration on the claiming and the taking of land. It's rife with the use of fire. So fire is a good way to claim space and to claim land. So is it hypocritical? I don't necessarily know that that's the right term that I would incorporate in my own way. It wouldn't fit right to me. Like, if there's another force or another spirit that is existing there, and you're trying to venerate or do things that are meaningful to you through the with your disir or your alfar, um, you might not get the results you're looking for if the space is inhabited by another spirit. Uh, Bring me back a T-shirt. Oh, when I go to Alaska, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Right? We're still a little bit ways out. When is the Alaska trip, Godfrey Bear? It is August 30th through September 2nd. So it's the end of August into the beginning of September. It's that, like, that Labor Day weekend of the American holiday. I'd help, but probably too far away from the northern forest. No, I'm telling you, like, the help that you can do. You don't have to be geographically close to me. The $1 pledge, if you want to pledge your support at the Carl tier, that $1 pledge helps, because that's going to help uh, with travel expenses and everything about that. Voodoo Viking says had a similar situation a few months ago. Just let it be. Let them be content. Then my brother decided to bring Catholic imagery and symbols in, and it pissed them off and told them not to do it. Yeah, I mean, they're like, whether you're talking, the physical plane, the spiritual plane, like, these are all beings that exist in profane space. So us, me, you, Adam, right? We are physical beings that exist in profane space. The spirit realm also exists in profane space. They see and experience things maybe in a different degree, but in the same space. There's profane space, there's sacred space, and these deities, these beings, these entities that exist in spirit form in profane space, might uh, respond differently to certain imagery, to certain symbology, you know. Uh, so yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, Adam. No.
No.
Uh, Connie Watson on Facebook says Carcelia powder. Oh, she's giving us a bit of a spell here, or they're giving us a bit of a spell here. So we got eggshells, dragon's blood resin, which I love to burn. It's a great insect repellent. It smells great, but it's also good just to burn as an insect repellent. Rose petals, jasmine flowers, grind it up, put it in your hand, blow it to the room, and it's like Xanax for ghosts. Well, if you say so. I don't know, can't say or confirm or deny, but if you say so, I if you're sharing that, then great. Give it a try, folks. I mean, I don't know. I can't. This is nothing heathen. This is nothing inherently heathen. So this is folklore era, or folklore level type stuff. Eggshells, dragon's blood resin, mix this thing, that, and the other. This is kitchen witch 101 type stuff, right, Adam?
Yeah, I was going to say, if he had if he knew anybody from the Wiccan community, ask them to go in and
Yeah.
and perform a cleansing ritual and get them.
Which, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that it seems to be predominant what's available out there. But I think that if Connie's mentioning this with all the good intention behind it, I mean if it's folklore related, if it's regional, I mean if it works, it works. So what's the harm in trying it? I don't know. I can't speak too much on that. Voodoo Viking says that. So this is going back to the whole introduction of Catholic symbology. They argued, saying that in Christ you have power. Then the sink turned on. Oh, then the sink turned on full blast. So there's obviously or there's seemingly an obvious reference to invoking Christ into the ritual, in which point the spirit responded in the negative, perhaps with the turning on of appliances. Uh, Demons in the house. Demons, whatever label, whatever name you want to put to it. Hope to see you in the spring when I get Nimke out. Yeah, Godfrey Berry. Yeah, if you get out and about and you're in the area of Tennessee, let me know. Can you spell the name of that book? Yeah. And there's Randy. I'm catching up on some comments there. So sorry, Randy, if you're still here. I hope. Hail and hello to you. But yes, Matthew, Sarah Land, Nama book. I will give you the spelling of it in the comments. Boom. There you go. Look up the Lan Nama book. Again, it means just Book of Settlers. You can find it on YouTube, or no, sorry, YouTube. You can find it on Amazon. It's accessible there. So yeah, there you go. All right, Skull that works. I think the best way, or the best that we to deal with malevolent revenants would be to understand why they are as such and try to make peace with them. If they refuse to do so, then it's time to send them on their way. And intention is key. Yeah. I want ghosts that will do my dishes. Connie, fold the laundry, sweep the floors, mop the floors, do all the house chores. Like, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if we had whites or vates here that could just do it all for us?
Don't forget mow the grass.
Mow the grass, chop the wood, do all do all the sundry things, do all the sundry chores. But I don't know, man. Like, I feel like this is like one of those things. I can't say right, wrong, or indifferent. This comment, best way to deal with malevolent revenants is to try to understand them. I don't know. They exist in a space and time that is sure, it's profane space, but it's spirit. Yeah, like why are they trying to go to work for us? Yeah, like, why are they being malevolent? Why are they being disruptive? Right, these haunting type forces. Most of what we see from like Scandinavian sources of malevolent spirits are like the Draugr, you know, the spirits of the dead that weren't given proper burial rites, and so they exist in spirit form as malevolent beings to be disruptive to the living. They scare them. They are generally disruptive, sometimes violent, you know. So, and then these are terms that exist in sources that are not native to our land. We're talking, we're in, North America, so Vetir and Draugr and all these things. They're not native terms that are known to the spirits of this land. I think, and this is my personal opinion, if you're going to try to connect or try to find a remedy to something that is native to the land that you live in, you need the people who are native of the land to help with it. Right? So maybe it's the indigenous, native, First Nation peoples, whatever. I mean, they're the ones that are versed in that medicine. They know what they're doing when it comes to dealing with these types of forces, with these types of entities in their cultural practices. So a rose by any other name is still a rose, right? So whether you call it Vatir, whether you call it white, whether you call it spirit, whatever it's still the same thing. But if you're trying to extinguish or vanquish a foe on native territory, wouldn't you want to know what that native thing is that needs, like, what it needs to be extinguished? Like, I mean, and I got Adam here too, because I don't know, I'm talking out here, just like, I think you probably want to get native involvement with native issues. If you're in Louisiana and you're in the swamps of Cajun country, man, like, you probably want some local magic. You probably want some voodoo. You probably want some of that magic, to help with to working through of things. If you're in other indigenous lands of the North American continent in the United States, the lower 48, maybe uh, connect with and understand what that native medicine is to deal with such things, or to work through such things, because we're not in Scandinavia, we're not in continental Europe. Like, we're placing names on things that are not indigenous to our land, calling them Vatir and whites and such. These are Germanic terms that are native to lands across a vast sea, you know. Um, but again, a rose by any other name is still a rose. So you call it one thing, it's still the same thing, and just depends on where you're from. Adam, what do you think?
Well, I was sitting here thinking about that, and while you were talking, I mean, one thing that the gentleman could do is do more research on the house and find out. He said like 50 people had died in this house because it was a hospital at one time. Look at the time framing of when it was a hospital, and like you said, then find the local medicine, or the local spiritual worker that dealt with that during that time. Uh,
Randy says that ghost would be most welcome in his house. All right, Randy. All right, so everybody, Randy,
Everybody-
you commented here first. Send it to Randy's house.
yeah, I don't think his wife would appreciate that.
I love you, Randy. I love you, Randy, but I don't know.
But I think maybe if you did a little research, find out what happened to these people, if it was natural causes or something was actually done wrong to them. They could be that they're trying to get somebody to uh, say somebody was murdered inside the house, and they're trying to get somebody to solve this case.
Yeah, this is like Scaldic Work says. Maybe they want veneration of their own because they aren't getting any. Like, there's that attention to, kind of like what you just said.
Yeah.
like, oh man, there's this thing that happened, and oh my gosh, like this happened here, and I can't leave, I can't be at rest, I can't, whatever, until this whole problem is solved or this whole situation is figured out.
There's something tying them still to this mortal realm and not allowing them to pass into the spirit realm.
Yeah, yeah. When in doubt, found a. When in doubt, find a brown guy like me. Godfrey Bear. You know, if that's what it takes. Uh, so Cowboy on YouTube says, so my friend got me a book called Odin's Chosen. I haven't looked at it yet. What's your guys' input on it? Odin's Chosen? Never heard of it.
Neither have I.
Don't know it. Don't know her. Never heard of her. Here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people get they'll jump on live streams like this, or they'll come into comment sections and they'll ask about, hey, what do you think about this book, this thing, that, or the other, this source or whatever. Listen, I'm not an individual. I'm not a person that's going to tell you to not read something. Go for it. If you want to read and you want to learn something about something, just read it. I mean, just do it. Like, I mean, I don't know. Odin's Chosen. I'm doing a quick online search, and I'm not finding anything with that title that suggests a red flag of any sort. So, I mean, and also bear in mind that a lot of contemporary sources, which likely Odin's Chosen is going to be rife with UPG, okay, unverified personal gnosis. They may include some historical sources of things throughout. I don't know, because I never heard of this source, and I don't know. But at this point, like, hey, if you were given this book, read it and do your own research, do your own. If you read something and it sounds interesting, find out about the validity of it from perhaps a historical aspect. I'm not telling you that that's the way you should always go with things, because there's plenty of stuff that exists within the UPG realm that is valid. But just realize that there are plenty of authors that publish things trying to pitch their UPG as fact or as historical background of things. Don't buy don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't get lost in the sauce. Do your own due diligence with it all. That would be my recommendation. Skaldic Work says there's a timeline between spirits of the house and land and spirits of past humans. Yeah, sure, there's a timeline, because again, the existence of a family that lives in a space versus the spirit of the land that exists or resides around the space. You're gonna find conflicting thoughts about house spirits, husvitir, tomte, the gnomes, the husvitir. Are you gonna find conflicting opinions and thoughts about those spirits, and whether those spirits reside with the home, or do they up and leave with the family that departs, or do they stay there, and this and that. I think most of that degree of information resides in the folklore aspect of things. I don't think that there's really anything universally or even regionally covered yet that I know of that would surround the general overview of spirits of the house versus the land. There's a great source. Hold on just a second. Let me find it. Okay. So sorry about that. The this author. Let me see if I can get it on camera here. Probably not.
No, no work, Jesse.
Okay. Anyway, it's called "Demons and Spirits of the Land: Ancestral Lore and Practices," and it's by Claude Lecoultre. Hold on. Let me do this right here. In the comments, I'm going to post the name of the book. Of the Land by Claude Le. I don't speak French. Lecoultre, Lecou. Here. T. There you go. So, let's see here. Yeah, Demons and Spirits of the Land. Claude Lecoultre has done. He has a great Look up the author. Just look up Claude Lecoultre. Les Sultans. I don't know. I don't speak French. But look up that author on Amazon, and you'll find multiple books about folklore and stuff regarding house whites, land whites, demons, spirits of the land, etc. This guy is a great source for understanding that sort of thing on the uh, folklore aspect of things. So, okay, let me go back to. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on some comments here. Let me go back up here. This dish that didn't ghost. Oh, by the Also True Alliance. Yeah. Listen, Cowboy on YouTube, Also True Alliance. Look, they tend to have an unsavory history. Yeah. If it's the same Also True Alliance that I'm thinking of, that has affiliations or associations with Stephen McNallen, but again, read what you want to read, research what you want to research, do your due diligence. Randy, I'm on YouTube now. Send me the dish ghost, not the evil one. I don't know. All right. Voodoo Viking says that goblins are good for doing tasks for you. Just remember they're chaotic and naughty. Okay. That's folklore. Yeah. Yeah. Put the name to the thing and boom, there you go. I don't know what the guy's situation is, but wouldn't it be better to venerate the land vitir outside? Okay, so this again goes back to the Germanic heathen approach to veneration. It's widely believed and it's widely understood and known that the Germanic peoples venerated their gods and their deities outdoors in sacred groves. Multiple sources support this. Um, so they were not an indoor sanctuary, churchy, Hof assembly type people. They did their religious practices and they venerated their spirits and their deity outdoors in sacred groves. Um, if you look at the desecration of sacred sites like Donar's Oak and the Irminsul by the Franks under Charlemagne, the this reflects that these were direct acts of desecration to sacred sites in history in continental Germanic lands, where trees were cut down, sacred trees like oak and ash. These were trees of their variety. The oak and the ash were trees that were seen as sacred. So when the Franks came in under Charlemagne's retinue, they would go in and they would, or when they did desecrate these lands and these sacred sites, they were outdoors, trees, and places that were considered sacred to the Germanic tribes. Um, yeah, Return of the Dead by Claude Lecatou. There's another one, and I have it somewhere. I just don't have it on my shelf. I didn't want to step away too long, but there's another one by Claude Lecatou that it has to do with the house spirits and stuff, and it's very good. He's a good source. Please, if you're a heathen looking to adopt and practice very heathen centric values and things of folklore, check out his books. Um, all right, Voodoo Viking, gotta go. Next live stream should be living in Seattle. NOLA to Seattle motorcycle road trip. Well, that's a heck of a trek from New Orleans to Seattle, dude. That's a good 2,000 miles or so. So safe travels to you, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for being here. Cowboy on YouTube says, just read up on them. Don't want anything to do with them, meaning the Ossetru Alliance. That's not at all what I believe, so I'm staying clear of the Ossetru Alliance. Listen, I don't disagree with you on that. Good on you for finding that of yourself. But again, I'm not sitting here on my platform and in my space to try to dissuade people from not finding information from certain sources or not, from finding it or not. Do your due diligence. Understand, right? Like there's some unsavory things that get associated with a lot of bigger national organizations, whether they are the Troth, whether they are the Ossetru Alliance, whether they are the AFA, whether they are TAC. Okay, there's plenty of stuff that you'll find that just is as unsavory in all regards. Take it or leave it. Truth is truth. Truth is truth. It doesn't exist under the banner of any color, creed, or belief. It just is what it is. Right, Adam?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but would
No,
you,
no,
you say
I do.
that truth exists under
Yeah.
regardless of color, creed, or
Yeah, it
whatever?
does. It does. It does.
Because you've been a part of something that transcends cultural boundaries. You've been a part of the Fire on the Mountain retreat. You get to see and experience things that are meaningful towards the growth of a community that again transcend a cultural barrier.
Yep.
It's shared in confidence, it's shared in sovereignty, it's shared in genuinity, it's shared in love and it's shared with the intent and with the purpose, not just the intent, but with the purpose of growth and expansion and health, because that's what's needed, right? There's this need, there's this what's the rune? Nauthes, the need fire, you know, that need fire that exists, that burns, that fire that we all see, regardless of barriers that are set up culturally. We can see that fire from a distance,
Yeah.
and that need fire exists to be a beacon of hope, to be a beacon of
Understanding.
yeah, yeah, hope, understanding, resilience, knowledge, wisdom,
Persistence.
yeah, persistence. Thank you to Cowboy on YouTube. Yeah, said it well. Thank you. Thank you for the dialogue. Thank you for giving us a chance to consider and think about these things. All information is valid as long as you can filter out the weeds. And Matthew Sarah says that, are you guys interested in talking about some of the things that you did in the past fire on the mountain? To a certain degree, to a very limited degree, I think Adam would share in that sentiment. To a very limited degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's no it's no we're not hiding the fact that fire on the mountain is a thing, and we are participants of it. So in terms of talking about some of the things that we did, Adam, I feel like I'm comfortable with talking about some of the things that we did, in the sense that we really found each other's sense of grit with people who you have never met before, because I've been involved with Fire on the Mountain for the last 4 years, going on 5 years, and this was your first.
Yeah.
So in comparison to things that happened this year, you got to see it firsthand for the first time, what that was like. I have several years of past experiences that I can reflect on and compare, but I think to Matthew's question, in talking about some of the things that did happen, what would you be comfortable with talking about?
I would have to say that, like, some of the rituals that we went through need to stay with us. The camaraderie with you and the others that were there, the 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 feasting together, the fellowship that we had, that I don't mind talking about at all. I mean, I consider every man that was there as a brother now, whether they don't think, if they don't see it or not. To me, we shared in something that no other group of guys have been involved in, so it brings us more together as our own, so to speak, tribe, for a better lack of the term. Now, I did enjoy the Brown Lights Festival with you, where we got on stage and did a little drumming.
That was cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And we never follow Bjorn's Loki GPS again.
Yeah, that was fun. It's fun looking back on it, but in the moment, it was like, what the fuck? What's going on here? But I think, overall, just from the spirit of the retreat this year, as a sponsor of the event and not as the overall official spokesperson of said event, because I'm just a participant and a co-founder of it. With this year's retreat being themed Spirit Road, and speaking of, we have Patrick rejoining. Yeah, with this year's retreat being themed Spirit Road, it carried. It was almost like the nature of this year's retreat for Fire on the Mountain was set before we hit the road and while we hit the road. Everything about what Spirit Road represented and meant for this year's retreat was laid down for us, from the travel challenges to the GPS, tomfoolery, to just everything that happened along the way during those days on the retreat, and then for you, Patrick, since you just joined, Matthew Sarah was asking, are you guys interested in talking about some of the things that you did in this past Fire on the Mountain? There are definitely some things that are private and are kept secluded and kept private for obvious reasons. But like Adam was saying, the traveling up to the retreat, getting from point A to point B, some of the ritual aspects of it, it's transformative. It's I don't, and I maybe I'm speaking just out of my own experience from the last 4 years, but we got one man here who has experienced it once, and we have another man here. Oh, he just dropped. But we have another man here who's experienced it twice. So Fire on the Mountain is its own thing each year with its theme and stuff. But Patrick, like your experience, since Matthew asked, and I know he sees your content and he sees your stuff too. Anything that you want to add to your experience to it, feel free to share within the degree that you want to. You're muted, Patrick. Let me see if you can unmute there. Try to unmute yourself.
Yeah, well,
there you go. There you go.
Good. All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, within reason, of course. Honestly, it's strange to seem to anyone listening. My favorite part is getting there. All the money, all the time and energy it takes to get there is one of my favorite parts. Because, it reminds me of the first time I visit you, not Far the Mountain, but just the first time seeing you, and my car issues. All the fuckery with my car, I was like, oh my god, I'm like an hour away from Jesse and it's crapping on me. Why? But when I got there, it was all the more beautiful. It's just, again, that struggle really met with great company and great memories. And that kind of coincides with Spirit Road in a way, because we make plans, we set objectives, and I feel like the more struggles it takes to get to that point makes it more meaningful. Because we take that, all of us, all of our parts of ourselves, to make that possible, which is truly amazing. But also, more to the meat and potatoes of Fire on the Mountain, is spending time with like-minded men, individuals who vary on their walks of life, to meet on common ground, to share ourselves, our experiences, and who we are as individuals is truly a life changing experience. Again, as a two-time participant of Fire the Mountain, I stand true to that each time. And I remember me and you discuss, you know, each time was special and
Yeah.
amazing and it felt right, you know. And that's with any time we visit a friend, a loved one. It's never the same the first time. It may seem similar, yeah, but collectively and all together, it's a special experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's the beauty of Fire on the Mountain, right? Like it is a special experience, and it's something that the planning committee, the planning board, is going to be meeting on very soon about to plan next year's event. Um, so thank you, Matthew, for asking. But yeah, there's there was a lot that was experienced on this year's retreat. And this isn't the platform, this isn't the space to get into great detail about it with. And it's not in any specific or particular focus on neglecting people, you know what I mean, or keeping people out of it. This is uh, preserving the sanctity and the sovereignty of the event.
And the
So
integrity too.
in the integrity of it, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, so it was, it is, Fire in the Mountain has been transformative every year that I've been a part of it. And Patrick, this is your second year. Um, it's a transformative retreat, uh, in one way, form, or fashion. It's transformative. It changes the people. You know, uh, it makes an impact on our spirit when we attend these things and when we interact with people that attend these things. And it's beautiful. It's I think it's been a beautiful thing over the last several years. 4 going on 5 years now. So where the retreat goes into year 5 and how we progress with it, kind of remains to be seen. Um, but yeah, and no disrespect taken at all, Matthew. By asking about it, this is something expected, and we want to do we want to do the retreat uh, proper honor, and we want to give proper respect and honor to the nature of it by preserving its sanctity, by
The
preserving its
sacredness, yeah.
sacredness of it, and such, by talking more about it in detail in the right way. So
Exactly. And I
yeah,
feel like in a way, Jesse, if you don't mind me saying this, is celebration and individual practice, going back to full circle what I said earlier about the person who mentioned, being a solitary practitioner. In a lot of ways, it's very beautiful being a solo practitioner because you keep things sacred. But I've learned along the way on my journey as a heathen, as a Norse pagan, is sometimes those special moments we have needs to be between yourself and Great Spirit, your gods, your ancestors. And trust me personally, as Patrick, I've had several moments I wanted to share with everybody, but I knew in my heart it's meant to be between you and that deity, that memory, that life force,
right,
sacred. Because I hate to use this phrase or quote, but pearls before swine. Because you share it with social media, it takes this and makes it this. Because people knowingly or unknowingly, take away or interpret it as they will.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Jesse, I can only say so much. You, as a content creator, you share a lot of yourself, and I'm sure that's taken its toll on you as well. And I can't imagine how tricky and how hard it is to traverse that landscape. And I commend you very much, Jesse, as a follower, a brother, as a friend. You have made great strides, especially with YouTube. Because that's where I found you first. You jumped through some hurdles. We had. I remember when we were first hanging out. You had an opportunity. You dismissed it. You kept sacred what is sacred. You made time for what is important, and I'll never forget that. And that's something, again, to all those who are watching. Keeping sacred can go in so many different ways. That special moment, time with friends, family. It's great sharing things. Trust me, I know the feeling. And sometimes, I feel a certain way about it. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have shared that post. Maybe I shouldn't have shared this, that, and the other. It's a learning experience. You learn as you go. You grow,
Yeah.
you develop.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tricky. Sometimes you get caught up in the moment of an audience. You know what I mean, and you want to connect with that audience, and sometimes the material that you feel inspired to share isn't intended for that audience. It's intended for a lesser audience, intended for some other audience. But
It's like for you or just yourself. Yeah.
yeah. One quick question before we get wrapping things up because it's getting late. Do you want to take one more question? So Connie Watson on Facebook asks, "What is your favorite Yule tradition?" That's a great question. Uh, Patrick, do you have any particular favorite Yule traditions that you subscribe to or follow or do?
Well, it's a really great question. I love that question. Thank you for asking. Um, Separately and collectively. Separately is making time to visit very special people, like Cliff. Him and I have celebrated the occasion. But more importantly, my favorite part of Yule is making time for sacred, which I feel like should be a regular practice. But, you know, it's that special time of year. Dismiss whatever holidays that overlap ours. It's just that unity. And I feel like, just like Halloween, Samhain, the veil is very thin. And I feel like a lot of us can feel that energy. I feel it right now. As though I've been going through hardships. Despite me going through hardships, I feel that support, that fellowship, that connection with my gods, our gods. Just that
Mhm.
sacred time to really, really make that specific time again to separate the profane from the mundane. I hope I got that right. But just, sacred from the mundane. And just making these times to celebrate, venerate not only our accomplishments, but understanding our struggles to come
Mhm.
where we are today. That's my favorite part. Thank you again for the opportunity for answering that question.
Yeah, I would say that for me and for ours, Yule, we observe Yule. My tribe, we observe Yule on the historical pre-Christian reckoning of time. So our Yule celebrations won't happen until next month, on the next full moon, and it is a midwinter bloat. Yule was for the Germanic heathens a midwinter bloat. Um, the pre-Christian Germanic heathen would observe three major holy tides. They would do a winter night celebration, which was their new year. They would do a midwinter celebration, which was Yule, and they would do a victory bloat in the summer, which was the Sieger bloat on their summertime celebration. So midwinter for us in my tribe celebration is a time to celebrate our survival of the darker days and longer nights, because at this point in time we are in the midwinter period of time, so days will be progressively getting longer. The daylight will be longer, the nights will be shorter progressively. So we celebrate that as a time of we look inward, we look inward to our hearts and to our homes, and we celebrate that through the exchange of gifts, through feasting. We have a sumble. We do sumble at Yule. Oaths that are sworn at Yule are particularly powerful, um, because of historical sources that suggest as such that the oaths sworn over the boar at Yule were particularly powerful. So, we take advantage of those opportunities. So we enjoy gift giving, we enjoy fellowship, we enjoy laughter, we do sumble. Um, so those are our favorite Yule traditions. Our particular tribe, we do like a dirty Santa sort of gift thing, where we call it, instead of dirty Santa, we call it filthy Fimbletier, because Fimbletier is one of the names of Odin. So we instead of dirty Santa, we say filthy Fimbletier. It's like a bit of a kenning, a poetic nod to Odin. So we follow the same rules of dirty Santa, but we do it under the name of filthy Fimbletier.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cowboy on YouTube says, yeah, spend time with friends, family, burning of the Yule log. We do have a Yule log. My tribe does every year at Yule. In our Yule fire, in our sacred fire, we retrieve a piece of that sacred fire, so a partially burned log, and we retain that. We save that for the next year's Yule. So, in our upcoming Yule, the previous year's Yule log, the partially burned piece of wood that was saved from our sacred fire from last year's Yule, or from the 2024 Yule, will be used to ignite the fire of the 2025 Yule, and then from that fire we will preserve and save a piece of partially burned wood and use it to burn 2026 and the next year's midwinter Yule fire. So that's our cultic practice. That is our tribal practice. That's what we do. Yeah. So yeah, have a good night to you, Cowboy on YouTube. Hail the gods, hail the goddesses, and hail the way, whatever that may be. And looking forward to the next live stream. Thank you so very much. The next live stream will be probably sometime in January. But this is the end. This ship has sailed, ladies and gentlemen. The ship of the season 5 Random Heathen Ramblings podcast is out. And for all of you that have kind of followed along on this year's journey, on this season's journey, it's been amazing. It's been wonderful. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you, Patrick, for being here tonight. Thank you to Adam, who had to drop. And thank you to everybody. Matthew, Sarah, great season. Thank you, Matthew. Joshua Bright Spirit, my brother, Scaldic Works, Voodoo Viking, all those of you that have watched and maybe haven't commented, but that have, supported. Randy, there you go, signing out for the night. Have a good night to you as well. Randy, I know you're in my area of Tennessee, so hail and thank you very much for your support. Looking forward to seeing what growth comes from the Frithheim group that you're leading there out there in Clarksville. But and yeah, Scaldic Works here as well, right? Great live stream. See you next time, hopefully earlier. Yes. Scaldic Works will be coming back in season 6, ladies and gentlemen. So for all of you that may be wondering who this mysterious person is commenting, they'll be back. And thank you all so very much. And as a reminder, For everybody that may be just wondering, what they can do or how they can support the podcast going forward, please join me on Patreon. Um, at the Carl tier, you get 3 to 4 episodes per month for just $1. It's a $1 pledge. If you do it and 10 other people do it and 15 and 20 and 30, whatever other people do it, just share it around. It's a $1 pledge. I don't think you can find anything else in modern times that you can get this much content available for just $1.
Nope.
It's great support. It's less of a problem for you. It's great for me, and it's great for the production of this podcast. Thank you so very much for your support, and thank you for being here for season 5 to whatever degree. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, however you're capturing this, it means all the world to me, and I greatly appreciate you being here. So here we are, sailing off into the sunset of season 5, ready to welcome in the dawn of season 6. So Patrick, my friend, my brother, thank you for being here. Thank you, all of you out here in YouTube and Facebook land and wherever else it is that you catch this later on. Thank you for being here. The support is greatly appreciated, and we'll see you all. We'll see you all again in season 6. So until then, have a blessed Yule. Have a Merry New Year. And when we see each other again in season 6, and until then, may the gods continue to notice you, and may your ancestors smile upon you. Thank you all.